An entitled mother shreds my $30 Magic the Gathering card because I wouldn't give it to her 10-year-old son. Here's what happened. Subscribe to Am I the Jerk on YouTube and hit the bell to turn on notifications. I'm a 21-year-old male and I was at the local game shop today to sell my Magic the Gathering card. This happened yesterday. I had just finished talking to the owner to sell my card when the entitled mom walked up to the counter I was at with her son.
You should give that card to my son. You're too old to play with cards.
Ma'am, if you had approached me earlier, I would have either traded or sold the card to him, but I've already made a deal with this store.
No, you're an adult. You should just give this card to my son.
At this point, I look at her young son. He's a young kid. I should also mention that the card I'm selling is a foil Olivia Crimson Bride showcase. For those that don't know, this card shows a lot of cleavage for a Magic the Gathering card. Ma'am, how old is your son?
He's 10. How old are you?
I'm 21 years old. I also don't think this card is appropriate for his age. I show her the card to make my point.
No, it's fine. Just give it to him.
As I already said, I can't do that as I already committed to selling this shop my card. At this point, the store owner cuts me off. Ma'am, if you want this card, you can buy it from us.
No! If my son can't have this card, then you can't have it either.
At this point, she grabs the card from my hand and then all I hear is the sound of the card ripping. I look at this woman and the card torn in her hands. I start tearing into her, cursing her out. While I'm doing this, the store owner calls the police. They arrive 5 minutes later. The first thing the cops do is separate me and the entitled mom before getting our statements. The owner also decides to pull the video of the incident. After the police have talked with me and the owner, they are now starting to talk with the entitled mom. Once they finish talking with her, they walk out of the store and one of the officers talks to me and the owner. He tells us that the woman is going to be escorted from the premises and if the owner wants, they will be trespassed and no longer allowed at the store. This is when the owner says that he would like to do that and the woman has caused issues for him in the past. The cop also says that the woman has been given a ticket for destruction of private property and disturbing the peace. The owner of the store then tells me that he will be going after this woman in court. He also gave me money for my card so that way he can add it onto the amount that he's trying to go after her for or claim it on his insurance. He told me that he's going to try and sue her for harassments because she has done this in the past. The value of the card that she destroyed and any legal fees needed to take her to court. So should I have just given her the card? This story is particularly interesting to me because Magic the Gathering is probably my most played game, especially at the moment. I know exactly the card that he's talking about here, and this is really weird that she just wants the kid to have this card even though he doesn't even seem like he's interested in this card. I mean, the kid didn't even ask for this card. The mom just wants to give it to him. And also, she's in a local game shop, so of course there's going to be 21-year-old guys playing Magic the Gathering and other games there. That's the point of this shop. It's not a kid's store. This card isn't the most expensive card of all time, but still, nobody wants to have their property taken from them and ripped in front of their face when they're about to receive money for that property. He says at the time the card was worth $30, which is not a cheap card either. I know some of you guys probably would have gone buck wild if this happened to you as you were in the process of selling your cards, but let me know what you would have done if this was your card in this situation down below. And also, this is a good time to mention that the Am I the Jerk Discord server is now live. The link will be in the description so you can come by, discuss the stories, submit your stories, and there's even a magic section. Am I the jerk for not wanting to attend a Game of Thrones themed wedding? My friend LEXA is getting married soon. She and her husband are extreme Game of Thrones fans. They've watched the show 5+ times. Their house is decked out with Game of Thrones themed decorations, accessories, etc. Because of their shared love of Game of Thrones, LEXA and her fiance decided to have a Game of Thrones themed wedding. I am perfectly fine with the idea of a themed wedding. I'm even okay with the Game of Thrones dress and costume for the wedding. The only thing I can't seem to get behind is the fact that the majority of the wedding will be conducted in High Valyrian. For those that don't know, it's a made-up language from Game of Thrones. Her wedding is also a destination wedding, and I'm finding it hard to justify going out of my way to go to a wedding that's not even in a real language that I wouldn't be able to understand at all. I mentioned that I was having doubts to LEXA, and she got really mad at me because I had originally said I could go before I knew it was in High Valyrian. She's also been sending me links to learn High Valyrian on Duolingo, and I feel like even if I did show up, she would be mad at me for not learning this language. The reception will also be in High Valyrian, and all the speeches and toasts are expected to be in High Valyrian too. So would I be the jerk for not wanting to go to her Game of Thrones themed wedding? This actually sounds awesome. I would be much more interested to go to this wedding over pretty much any other wedding ever, as long as it doesn't turn out to be the red wedding, or the theme is specific specifically that of the Red Wedding. All you got to do is look at the playlist and see if they put Reigns of Castamere on there, and if not, you're good to go. About learning High Valyrian on Duolingo, apparently that's an actual thing. They really do offer High Valyrian as a language you can learn on Duolingo, which is strange because there's a lot of real-world languages that Duolingo doesn't have, but I guess maybe High Valyrian is more popular than a lot of those real languages. So as long as she's not committing to giving one of these speeches in High Valyrian, this will be an awesome experience. But how do you see this down below, and jerk or not a jerk, and why? Am I the jerk for taking my friend to court after she kicked me out of the bridal party for cutting my hair? For my friend's 3-day wedding, I had to buy 3 different dresses, including alterations, and specific shoes which totaled over $700. She also wanted specific hairstyles for each day. Unfortunately, starting in March, my hair started to deteriorate. Due to health reasons, my hair was falling out in chunks, and in May, I made the difficult decision to cut my hair. I told the bride about my decision 2 weeks before the wedding, and she didn't say anything bad. The following week, she came over to my house, and when she was about to leave, she brought up that she was concerned about my haircut, and I told her it would look good, even though it wouldn't be uniform with the other bridesmaids. The following day, I received this message. After our recent conversations, I'd like to remind you of my boundaries. I've been very accommodating and graceful, but I can't allow you to disrespect me. As you know, my wedding is something I've dreamt of for many years. My husband and I have invested a lot of money into the video and photos of this day, and as we reflect on this day in the future, we want to see our vision reflected in the memories. Since I asked each of you to be bridesmaids in 2019, I've been very clearly and very communicative in my request. The timing of your decision to cut your hair and not inform me in advance is very upsetting to me. I would have felt respected if you had communicated with me more than a week prior to the wedding, so we could have worked together to find a collaborative solution. Your inconsistencies have concerned me, and while I sympathize with your health concerns, I'm not willing to compromise my vision to accommodate you or anyone else when you could have informed me in advance, and we could have found a better solution. Since this is something you can no longer fully commit to, I need you to please step down from participating in my wedding. This was 3 days before the wedding. I immediately sent her and her husband an invoice asking them to reimburse for the dresses and shoes, keeping in mind that one of the dresses is still in her possession even though I paid for it. Neither of them replied, and I decided to take it to court. I was told I was inconsistent and selfish after I spent the past 2 weeks helping her plan the wedding shower. I worked with another bridesmaid to surprise her with a wedding shower after our bachelorette trip had to be canceled. I spent hours helping her out with wedding details. When she asked me to help her tone up before the wedding, I sent her a personalized workout program and even went with her to the gym to show her the ropes. When I agreed to be her bridesmaid, I said I was more than willing to oblige with what she asked, even if at times it was a lot of time and money. So am I the jerk for taking her to court because she kicked me out for cutting my hair? Wow, this friend, the bride who's getting married here, seems very heartless based on everything that we've seen here. The OP made a commitment to this wedding before she knew this whole health concern was going to happen, and now her hair is falling out in clumps. That's not something anyone chooses to have happen to them. What other choice did the OP have here? She didn't want her hair to fall out in clumps, but somehow the bride is interpreting that as a form of disrespect to her and her husband for their wedding. I'm sure the OP is already burdened with the sadness or just any emotions that have to do with dealing with this on her own before having the finger pointed at her saying that she's the one who disrespected the whole wedding by not sticking to the plan. Would it have softened things a bit if the OP would have went to the bride and said, hey, my hair is going in this direction because of my health issues before cutting the hair? That might have helped a little bit, but that probably wasn't the first thing on the OP's mind when this was happening. And also, I wouldn't be surprised if the outcome ended up being the exact same. But let me know how you would handle the situation down below. Do you think that suing the bride for the $700 that's owed is going too far right before her wedding? Or do you think it's justified because she spent all this money out of pocket and now for a reason outside of her control, she's not even able to use the dress and shoes that she got for this wedding? Let me know your thoughts down below, and jerk or not a jerk, and why. Am I the jerk for not attending my sister's wedding after telling her that I would go? My 34-year-old sister got married last week. When she got engaged 6 months ago, she told me she wanted me to be a bridesmaid. I agreed, how could I not? The other bridesmaids were all pretty rich. Sis and groom weren't planning to hold back on anything when it came to the wedding because they had a pretty big budget. The groom's from a wealthy family. There wasn't a problem until 3 months before the wedding when she and her friends, the other bridesmaids, were picking out dresses. The dresses cost $300 each and they were so pretty. They were pastel pink with yellow embroidered roses on them, handmade. I am a 21-year-old female and I'm a college student and I'm broke. I couldn't afford a dress that cost that much, especially since I was only going to wear it once. I told my sister immediately. So she said she'd pay $150 and I could pay the rest myself. She sent me the money, and since there were still 3 months before the wedding, she said I had to salvage something. Now, $150, that's like 2 weeks worth of groceries. I decided to keep the money she'd given to me myself because I sure as heck wasn't going to spend another $150 on some dress. My sister never asked me about the dress again until a week before the wedding. I told her I hadn't bought it and spent it on things that I actually needed. She was pissed, saying there wasn't enough time to order a new dress. She told me that I couldn't be a bridesmaid without it. I didn't show up to the wedding for obvious reasons. She called me after, asking me where I was and calling me a jerk and a liar. What did I do that was even remotely jerkish? I'm broke and there's no way I could afford such an expensive dress. Am I the jerk? Huh? Why didn't the OP here just tell the sister, hey, $150 is not enough money. I don't have enough money for the rest of the dress. If that was the case, maybe then there would have been some sort of solution, but she just basically took the money and spent it on whatever she wanted and didn't say anything until it was too late? How could you possibly have justified that? If the sister didn't want to pay the full $300 amount, the other $150, at least give her back the money that she gave you. How could you possibly interpret that to mean, oh, I guess I get to keep this $150? What's probably ended up happening here is the OP has permanently severed, or if not severed, at least damaged the relationship with her sister for life here. Not necessarily because of the money only, but also because, as the sister said, she's a liar. She lied about the whole situation. She made her think that she was going to buy the dress with the money, and not only did she not do that, but she kept the money without saying anything. And now returning the money is probably not going to even be enough to solve this because the wedding has come and gone. It's too late to make up for it. There's not going to be a second wedding. If this was your sister and she did this to you, how would you respond to this? Let me know down below in jerk or not a jerk and why. Am I the jerk for throwing away my pad at an acquaintance's house? I met a dude on Tinder a few weeks ago and we really seemed to hit it off. We had a lot of the same hobbies and I felt a spark between us that I'm sure he felt too. After we got past the talking phase, we decided to meet at his house for coffee. It was great when I arrived. We talked loads and even held hands. However, I was on the third day of my cycle, and after a couple of hours I needed to change my pad. I asked for the bathroom and he directs me towards it. After I finished changing, I noticed that his trash can is pretty full. I'm not sure what to do, so I wrap it in toilet paper and sort of smooth it into the trash so it isn't sitting on the edge. We hang out for about an hour more and he excuses himself to the bathroom. A few minutes pass by and he comes out and says that he needs to talk to me. He says I shouldn't have thrown away my pad because he might touch it when taking out the trash and that it was gross and unsanitary. Apparently, he saw that the trash looked different, unwrapped the toilet paper, and saw my used pad. I was mortified. I apologized profusely, and he seemed to take it well. He just told me not to do it again, and if I needed to, just walk a few blocks away to a nearby grocery store to change. I left after that, not thinking too much about it. However, I've recounted the events to a few friends, and they think he is a major jerk. I'm not entirely sure. He was really kind about it and didn't seem to get angry, but also I'm starting to see their point too. It's just a normal body process for people with a uterus, and I agree. It should be more normalized. I'm just not sure what to think, and any judgment would be greatly appreciated. Am I the jerk? This is just a normal bodily function. It's not like she took it and smeared it all over the walls and threw it on the ground. She put it in a trash bin where trash goes. And assuming that he has a small trash bag in his bathroom trash can, the only possible reason why he would end up touching it by accident is because his trash is overflowing because he hasn't emptied it. But if he doesn't have a bag, then that trash bin is probably already pretty disgusting to begin with. The OP here says that he was kind about it, so that's obviously better than the alternative of him coming out raging and screaming about this, but clearly this bothered him. I just don't really get why. Let me know down below if something like this would bother you, and jerk or not a jerk, and why. Am I the jerk for putting a Ziploc bag of my roommate's poop on his bed after he pooped in the bidet? I'm in a university and have been living in a house with 4 of my friends, all 21 or 22-year-old males, for 4 years. We are all great friends and get along well most of the time. However, our one roommate, Darren, is quite messy. Darren regularly runs a tornado through the house after it's just been cleaned and leaves rotting food everywhere. We share the bathroom upstairs and he never cleans it. He also does stupid things while sloshed and doesn't take responsibility. Last year, he threw out a perfectly good blender because he got so puffed up that he forgot to plug it in before turning it on and therefore thought it was broken. When called out on his behavior, Darren will usually deny it or make excuses. He used to not be so bad, but his irresponsible behavior behavior has escalated over the past year. Yesterday, however, is where I drew the line. On Thursday night, Darren had a couple of friends over and they got sloshed. The rest of my roommates weren't home. I had to get up at 6 a.m. for work, so I asked them to keep it down. They didn't, but I managed to fall asleep despite the noise. Sometime in the night, I woke up to them talking near my room. I heard Darren say something about him pooping in the bidet. My bedroom is beside the washroom, but I was half asleep and I figured I heard wrong. I just fell back to sleep. On Friday morning, I woke up for work and there was a turd in the bidet. I wasn't about to clean it, especially not at 6 a.m. I thought maybe he was just incredibly sloshed and he'd clean it up when he woke up. When I got back to my house around 7 p.m. though, the turd was still in the bidet. I knew Darren was home because I could hear him gaming in his room. Also, the shower had clearly been used, meaning he showered with his turd in the bidet. I knew he was going to leave soon, so when he did, I put on some gloves, put his poop in a bag, and put it on his pillow. When he got home later that night, he was really upset and yelling about how gross it was that I put poop on his pillow. I told him it was gross of him not only to poop in our bidet, but to leave it there for a whole day. I also argued that I could have put the poop directly on his pillow, but I didn't. He said that he would have cleaned it up eventually and that I should have just texted him first. He put the bag of turd back in the bidet again just to prove a point, and now we're at a crossroads. It's sitting in the bidet as I type this, and he says if I don't apologize, he'll put it in my bed. Two of our roommates and my girlfriend are on my side and say that he had it coming and shouldn't have been such a pig. My other two roommates think that I took it too far and should have just texted him to clean up his poop first, which makes me think that maybe I could be the jerk. But I think he should have just done it on his own. I am not his mother. All things considered, am I the jerk? This would have been an easy everyone is the jerk in this situation, but the scales were tipped towards Darren being the jerk when he took the poop back and put it in the bidet again. What's the next step after this? They start picking up the poop and throwing at each other like monkeys? Obviously, pooping in the bidet was wrong, and he was laughing about it or joking about it sounds like. Then the OP takes the poop and puts it on his pillow, which is also wrong, but then he takes it and puts it back? Regardless of who's the jerk or not in this situation, the OP taking the poop and putting it on the pillow did not solve anything at all. It just made this whole situation worse, because now he has people in the house that are not even on his side because they think he went too far. Whereas if he just would have said, hey, why did you do this? Pretty much no one in the house would not agree that that was a pretty messed up thing to do. If you came home one day and you found out that your roommate put poop on your pillow in a little Ziploc bag, how would you react? Let me know down below on jerk or not a jerk and why. Am I the jerk for being uncomfortable with my girlfriend being naked around her dog? I'm a 33-year-old male and my girlfriend who's 30 hates clothes, to the point where she actively researched nudist colonies, and if it wasn't for her having to occasionally go to the office, she would have moved there long before she met me. So of course she's always naked around the house, which for me is nice. She's got a rockin' bod. The issue is her 2-year-old dog. The dog is a super cute and fluffy Great Pyrenees, very well trained, 10 out of 10, a good girl. My girlfriend was there when her friend brought the heavily pregnant mom home from the pound, was there at the birth, and fell in love immediately. She sees that dog as the closest thing she'll ever have to a kid due to medical issues. However, my girlfriend is just always naked at home, playing with the dog, naked, cuddling on the couch, naked. She keeps a slip dress by the door for walks, but otherwise naked. And it's weird, right? I tried to be subtle, but the other day I finally sat down with her and pointed out that yes, she's trained the dog not to sniff human butts, but it's still like something out of an illegal adult movie for her to be naked with an animal all the time. Wow, she got pissed, asking me to leave. I tried talking sense into her, but she wasn't listening to it. I finally left her house, and once I got back to my apartment, I tried texting one of her friends, but she blew up at me saying that I was a jerk. My girlfriend is now radio silent. I'm not jealous of a literal female dog. I know my girlfriend isn't doing anything, but it's still weird. I do see being naked is that way, since the only times that I'm naked are when I'm showering or, well, doing the deed. I respect that my girlfriend doesn't feel the same way, but I'll get up to use the bathroom or something and come back to the dog in my spot on the couch, asleep with her head on my girlfriend's naked thigh. That's just so weird. How is it not? So am I the jerk? It's not that weird. As the OP already said here, she's not doing anything weird with the dog. And what did the OP think we were doing back in hunter and gatherer times, that we're always fully clothed from head to toe, that there's never a single moment where there's an animal that's with us would see us not fully clothed? I think it's one of those cases where something feels normal, therefore it must be right, but it's not that serious. She doesn't have a problem with it, the dog doesn't have a problem with it, and if the girlfriend did get as upset as the OP described here, then she probably took it to mean that he was implying that she was doing something something naughty with the dog, which is an even more weird thing than just living your life with this dog in the way you want to that's not hurting anybody. But maybe you see this completely differently. Maybe you think this is the weirdest thing ever. If so, let me know your thoughts down below, and jerk or not a jerk, and why. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications. To finish listening to all the stories in this series, use the playlist at the top of the description. And next time you live stream, use the cream of the crop music. Search for Cream of the Stream on Spotify or whatever music platform you use for copyright-free music to use for your stream. It's free. Cream of the Stream. Either way, thanks a lot for listening. I'll see you guys next time.